Hello, history enthusiasts, time travelers, and knowledge seekers. Welcome to another journey back in time here on Backdrop History. Introduction. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, remains one of the most enduring and controversial events in modern history. Over the years, numerous investigations, conspiracy theories, and speculation have clouded the truth surrounding the tragic event. As a professional historian, I embark on this quest to provide a long, detailed account of the assassination, delving into the official investigations, key players, and the prevailing theories to shed light on what really happened that fateful day in Dallas. Chapter 1: The President and His Legacy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was born on May 29, 1917, into a family of political prominence and wealth. Hailing from Massachusetts, the Kennedys were a well-respected and influential clan deeply embedded in the fabric of American society. From an early age, JFK was instilled with a sense of public service and the weight of duty that came with his family's legacy. As a young man, Kennedy enlisted in the Navy during World War II and demonstrated remarkable leadership and courage when his patrol boat, PT-109, was attacked by a Japanese destroyer. This wartime experience bolstered his image as a war hero, and it would later be exploited to great effect during his political career. In 1946, John F. Kennedy entered the world of politics, running successfully for the United States House of Representatives as the representative for Massachusetts' 11th Congressional District. His political acumen, charm, and eloquence quickly earned him recognition on Capitol Hill, setting the stage for an ambitious and promising career. In 1952, Kennedy set his sights on the Senate and won a hard-fought battle for a seat in the U.S. Senate, representing Massachusetts. Throughout his tenure in the Senate, JFK championed several issues that would come to define his legacy, including civil rights, healthcare reform, and foreign policy matters. It was during this time that he authored his Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Profiles in Courage, which highlighted acts of political bravery by various American politicians throughout history. In 1960, John F. Kennedy launched his historic campaign for the presidency, facing off against the Republican nominee, Vice President Richard Nixon. The 1960 presidential election would be one of the closest in American history, with Kennedy securing a narrow victory in the popular vote and a decisive win in the Electoral College. The dawn of the Kennedy administration marked a period of immense optimism and hope for the American people. His inaugural address, delivered on January 20, 1961, remains one of the most memorable and iconic speeches in American history. In it, JFK famously called upon Americans to ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This stirring call to action captured the essence of his presidency, one that sought to inspire a generation to participate actively in the nation's progress and prosperity. Throughout his presidency, Kennedy faced a myriad of challenges, both domestically and internationally. On the domestic front, he pushed for ambitious reforms, including tax cuts to stimulate the economy and the establishment of the Peace Corps, a program that aimed to send young American volunteers abroad to aid developing countries. However, it was Kennedy's deft handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962 that would define his foreign policy legacy. The crisis emerged when the United States discovered that the Soviet Union was installing nuclear missiles in Cuba, just miles from American shores. In a tense and dangerous standoff, JFK navigated through diplomacy and brinkmanship to resolve the crisis without triggering a nuclear war. The resolution of the Cuban Missile Crisis showcased Kennedy's ability to remain calm under pressure and defuse a potentially catastrophic global conflict. Another critical aspect of JFK's presidency was his commitment to advancing the cause of civil rights. As the civil rights movement gained momentum across the country, Kennedy faced increasing pressure to address racial inequality and segregation. In 1963, he delivered a powerful speech on national television, emphasizing the urgency of civil rights legislation and announcing his intention to propose a comprehensive civil rights bill to Congress. This commitment laid the groundwork for the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed racial segregation and discrimination. Moreover, Kennedy's emphasis on space exploration and the race to the moon became emblematic of his presidency. In 1961, he boldly set the goal of landing an American on the moon before the end of the decade, a vision that would be realized with the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. Despite his notable achievements and widespread popularity, JFK's presidency faced criticism and challenges. His administration grappled with Cold War tensions, military conflicts such as the Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, and rising involvement in Vietnam. Furthermore, his handling of the civil rights movement, while progressive, also drew criticism from civil rights leaders who demanded more significant and immediate action. Chapter 2, The Day of Tragedy, November 22, 1963. The day of November 22, 1963, began with an air of anticipation and excitement in Dallas, Texas, as President John F. Kennedy arrived for a political visit. It was the penultimate day of a two-day trip to the state, part of a larger effort to strengthen ties with the Southern electorate and unite the Democratic Party. However, what was meant to be a routine tour of the city soon turned into a day that would forever change the course of American history. President Kennedy, along with First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, began their day with a breakfast speech at the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. Following the event, the presidential motorcade embarked on its journey through the streets of Dallas. The route had been carefully planned, aiming to allow the public to catch a glimpse of the popular president and provide ample opportunities for photo opportunities and interactions with the crowds. At approximately 11:40 a.m., the motorcade turned onto Elm Street and entered Dealey Plaza, a public square flanked by the Texas School Book Depository on one side and a grassy knoll on the other. It was at this precise location that tragedy struck. As the motorcade moved slowly through the plaza, shots rang out, shattering the tranquility of the day. The Zapruder film. One of the most crucial pieces of evidence to emerge from the assassination was the famous Zapruder film, captured by local clothing manufacturer Abraham Zapruder. Zapruder was an unwitting witness to the events that unfolded that day and happened to film the motorcade with his 8mm Bell & Howell home movie camera. The Zapruder film provided a vivid and chilling account of the assassination. In the film, the presidential limousine can be seen approaching, and at frame 313, a bullet struck President Kennedy in the head, causing a fatal wound. The graphic nature of the film was not initially released to the public, but it played a crucial role in shaping the official investigation and public perception of the assassination. Eyewitness testimonies. In the aftermath of the shooting, chaos and confusion reigned at Dealey Plaza. Numerous eyewitnesses gave accounts of what they saw and heard that day, but the testimonies varied significantly, contributing to the complexity of reconstructing the exact sequence of events. Some witnesses reported hearing 3 distinct shots, while others believed they heard more. There were conflicting accounts regarding the direction from which the shots came, with some claiming they originated from the Texas School Book Depository and others suggesting a second location, such as the grassy knoll. The immediate aftermath. Following the shooting, the presidential limousine sped to Parkland Memorial Hospital, where President Kennedy was pronounced dead at 1 p.m. The news of the assassination shocked the nation, and Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th president aboard Air Force One before it departed for Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, law enforcement authorities initiated a manhunt for the assassin. Within hours of the shooting, Lee Harvey Oswald, an employee at the Texas School Book Depository, was identified as the prime suspect. Oswald's capture at a nearby theater led to his arrest, setting the stage for the official investigation into the assassination. The city of Dallas, the nation, and the world were left grappling with the profound sense of loss and grief as the news of President Kennedy's death spread. The tragic event not only shook the American political landscape to its core but also marked a turning point in the nation's collective consciousness. The aftermath. In the wake of the assassination, the nation was consumed by mourning, and the events of that day spurred a series of investigations to uncover the truth behind the assassination. The Warren Commission, led by Chief Justice Earl Warren, was established to examine the evidence, question witnesses, and determine the circumstances surrounding the assassination. However, the immediate aftermath of the assassination also gave rise to various conspiracy theories that challenged the official narrative presented by the Warren Commission. The debates and suspicions regarding a possible cover-up, the existence of a second shooter, and the involvement of other individuals or groups added complexity and controversy to an already tragic event. Chapter 3: The Warren Commission Investigation. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, plunged the nation into a state of shock and mourning. In the aftermath of this tragic event, there was an urgent need for answers and accountability. To address the questions surrounding the assassination, President Lyndon B. Johnson established the Warren Commission on November 29, 1963, just 1 week after the assassination. The commission was tasked with investigating the circumstances surrounding JFK's death and providing a comprehensive report on its findings. Headed by Chief Justice Earl Warren, a respected figure in American jurisprudence, the commission comprised 7 members, including prominent politicians, lawyers, and military officials. Its formation aimed to lend credibility and a sense of authority to the investigation. The commission began its work in December 1963 and continued its inquiry for nearly 10 months, conducting hearings, gathering evidence, and interviewing witnesses. Key findings and conclusions. The single bullet theory. One of the central elements examined by the Warren Commission was the trajectory of the shots that struck President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally, who was also riding in the presidential limousine. The Commission's conclusion, known as the single bullet theory or the magic bullet theory, posited that a single bullet, fired by Lee Harvey Oswald from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, caused both men's injuries. According to the single bullet theory, the bullet entered President Kennedy's upper back, then exited through his throat, before striking Governor Connally, breaking his rib and wrist, and finally lodging in his thigh. Critics of the theory argued that the trajectory required for the bullet to inflict the injuries on both men was too improbable, but the commission maintained that it was plausible given the positions of the victims in the car. Identification of Lee Harvey Oswald as the sole assassin. The Warren Commission identified Lee Harvey Oswald as the sole assassin responsible for President Kennedy's death. Based on the evidence gathered, the commission concluded that Oswald acted alone in firing 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository using a bolt-action rifle. The commission highlighted Oswald's background, including his defection to the Soviet Union in 1959 and his known political leanings, as part of its assessment of his motive. The commission's report concluded that Oswald fired 3 shots in rapid succession. The first shot missed, the second shot struck President Kennedy, and the third shot was the fatal headshot that killed the president. The entire shooting sequence, according to the commission, occurred within a time frame of less than 7 seconds. Other considerations. The Warren Commission thoroughly examined various aspects of the assassination, including the presence of a potential second shooter and the role of organized crime or other groups. However, it ultimately concluded that there was no evidence to support the existence of a conspiracy involving others in the planning or execution of the assassination. The commission also investigated Jack Ruby, the man who shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald on live television 2 days after the assassination. The Warren Commission determined that Ruby acted alone out of a sense of grief and anger over the president's death and to seek revenge for the nation. Controversies and criticisms. Despite its comprehensive investigation and meticulous presentation of evidence, the Warren Commission's conclusions did not put the matter to rest for many Americans. The commission faced criticism for its reliance on the single bullet theory, which some experts and researchers found implausible. Skeptics argued that the trajectory of the bullet seemed unlikely given the physical evidence and the positions of the victims in the car. The issue of a potential conspiracy also remained a subject of significant contention. Critics questioned the thoroughness of the commission's inquiry into possible connections between Oswald and external groups or individuals. They argued that certain leads and pieces of evidence were either overlooked or downplayed, suggesting that the commission may not have conducted an exhaustive investigation into the possibility of a wider conspiracy. Chapter 4: Lee Harvey Oswald, Lone Assassin? Lee Harvey Oswald, the man at the center of one of the most infamous events in American history, was born on October 18, 1939, in New Orleans, Louisiana. His early life was marked by instability and hardship, as his father died before his birth, and his mother struggled to provide for him and his 2 older brothers. Throughout his childhood, Oswald moved frequently, leading to a fragmented upbringing that may have contributed to his later actions. As a young man, Oswald displayed intelligence and an interest in politics. His fascination with Marxism and socialist ideas began to take root during his time at the New York Youth House, where he joined a pro-Castro organization and immersed himself in communist literature. By the age of 17, Oswald had enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, a decision that would have a profound impact on his life. Oswald's time in the Marines provided him with a sense of discipline and purpose, but it also led him to develop an antagonistic relationship with authority figures. While stationed at the Marine Corps Air Station in Itsuji, Japan, Oswald acquired a proficiency in the Russian language, which would later play a significant role in his life. In 1959, at the age of 20, Oswald defected to the Soviet Union, expressing his desire to renounce his U.S. citizenship and embrace communism. During his time in the Soviet Union, he married Marina Prusakova, a native of Minsk. However, Oswald's experience in the USSR was far from idyllic. Disillusioned with the reality of Soviet life, he sought to return to the United States with his wife and daughter, eventually arriving in Fort Worth, Texas, in 1962. Upon his return to the U.S., Oswald's behavior raised suspicions. He openly displayed his Marxist beliefs, publicly debated with anti-communist groups, and sought to establish connections with pro-Castro and anti-Castro organizations. He also attempted to establish a life for himself, securing employment at the Texas School Book Depository in October 1963, just weeks before the assassination. The question of Oswald's motive for assassinating President Kennedy remains one of the most contentious aspects of the assassination investigation. The Warren Commission concluded that Oswald was driven by a desire for notoriety and recognition, believing that killing the president would make him a historic figure. The commission pointed to Oswald's desire to achieve greatness and his belief that he could be a Marxist messiah as evidence of his motive. However, the lone assassin theory is not without its critics. Some researchers and conspiracy theorists have argued that Oswald's connections to various individuals and groups suggest the possibility of a larger conspiracy. One of the key points of controversy centers around Oswald's time in the Soviet Union. Skeptics have questioned whether he was truly a committed communist or merely an opportunist seeking attention. Moreover, Oswald's interactions with anti-Castro groups, such as the Fair Play for Cuba Committee, have fueled speculation about potential ties to foreign governments or intelligence agencies. Some theories posit that he may have been a pawn in a larger geopolitical plot, manipulated by outside forces to carry out the assassination. The investigation into Oswald's motives and his role as a lone assassin or part of a conspiracy has extended well beyond the official conclusion of the Warren Commission. In the years following the assassination, numerous books, documentaries, and investigations have sought to shed light on this enigmatic figure and his possible connections to broader networks. Chapter 5: Conspiracy Theories Unraveling the Enigma. In the aftermath of President John F. Kennedy's assassination, a multitude of conspiracy theories began to emerge, each seeking to challenge the official narrative presented by the Warren Commission. These theories have captured the public's imagination and fueled intense debates about what really happened on that fateful day in Dallas. This chapter will delve into the labyrinth of conspiracy theories that have proliferated over the years, examining some of the most prominent claims and critically analyzing the evidence supporting or debunking these alternative narratives. The grassy knoll theory. One of the most enduring and popular conspiracy theories is the grassy knoll theory. According to this hypothesis, there was a second shooter positioned on the grassy knoll, a small hill overlooking Dealey Plaza. Proponents of this theory argue that the fatal headshot that struck President Kennedy came from this second location, not from Lee Harvey Oswald's perch in the Texas School Book Depository. Supporters of the grassy knoll theory point to eyewitness testimonies and acoustic analysis of audio recordings from the assassination as evidence for the presence of a second shooter. They claim that the trajectory of the fatal headshot suggests that it could not have come from the book depository. However, the Warren Commission's investigation and subsequent studies have largely discredited the grassy knoll theory. Forensic analysis and ballistics experts have demonstrated that the trajectory of the fatal shot is consistent with Oswald's position in the book depository. Additionally, witnesses who claim to have seen or heard shots from the grassy knoll have been inconsistent and, in some cases, unreliable. Allegations of CIA involvement. Another prominent conspiracy theory revolves around alleged involvement by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, in the assassination. Some theorists propose that rogue elements within the CIA orchestrated the assassination to prevent Kennedy from withdrawing from Vietnam or as a response to his handling of the Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba. Claims of CIA involvement are largely based on suspicions surrounding covert operations, prior attempts on Castro's life, and the CIA's interest in maintaining the status quo during the Cold War. However, concrete evidence linking the CIA to the assassination is scarce. The investigations conducted by the Warren Commission and subsequent government inquiries did not find any direct evidence implicating the CIA in the assassination. While it is true that the CIA engaged in covert activities during the Cold War, no conclusive evidence has emerged connecting the agency to the events of November 22, 1963. Mafia and organized crime theories. Another set of conspiracy theories posits that the mafia or organized crime had a hand in the assassination of President Kennedy. According to this line of thought, the mafia sought to eliminate Kennedy due to his administration's crackdown on organized crime and his brother Robert Kennedy's efforts as Attorney General to combat mob activities. These theories often point to alleged connections between Oswald and individuals with ties to organized crime. Additionally, some claim that the mafia may have used Oswald as a patsy, framing him for the assassination while carrying out the plot themselves. While it is true that the Kennedys' pursuit of organized crime figures was met with hostility from mafia leaders, direct evidence linking the mafia to the assassination is largely circumstantial. The Warren Commission found no concrete evidence of mafia involvement in its investigation, and subsequent inquiries have failed to uncover any conclusive proof. Chapter 6: The Role of Law Enforcement and Intelligence Agencies. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963, triggered an intense and complex investigation that involved various law enforcement agencies and intelligence organizations. This chapter will examine the performance of these entities during the investigation, scrutinizing their actions in handling Lee Harvey Oswald's arrest and transfer. Additionally, we will explore the role of the FBI and the CIA in the events leading up to and following the assassination, evaluating claims of cover-ups and deliberate obfuscation of evidence. Dallas Police Department, DPD, and Oswald's arrest. Lee Harvey Oswald was apprehended by the Dallas Police Department less than 2 hours after the assassination. He was initially stopped and questioned by a police officer, J.D. Tippit, who was later shot dead in the confrontation. After a brief confrontation with the police in a nearby theater, Oswald was arrested and taken into custody. The DPD's handling of Oswald's arrest came under scrutiny, with critics suggesting that certain procedures were not followed adequately. The chaotic and emotionally charged atmosphere surrounding the arrest and investigation contributed to lapses in standard police practices, such as the proper preservation of evidence at the crime scene and during Oswald's interrogation. Oswald's transfer and assassination. On November 24, 1963, as the nation watched on live television, Lee Harvey Oswald was being transferred from the Dallas City Jail to the county jail. During this transfer, Oswald was fatally shot by nightclub owner Jack Ruby in the basement of the Dallas Police Department. The assassination of Oswald while in police custody raised significant questions about the security and protection of such a high-profile suspect. Some conspiracy theorists proposed that Ruby's act was part of a larger cover-up, meant to silence Oswald and prevent him from revealing any alleged conspirators. However, investigations conducted at the time found no conclusive evidence to support these claims, attributing Ruby's actions to his emotional state and personal motives. The role of the FBI. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, played a central role in the investigation into President Kennedy's assassination. The FBI was heavily involved in gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, and building the case against Oswald as the lone assassin. The agency swiftly assembled an extensive file on Oswald, delving into his background, political beliefs, and connections to various individuals and groups. Critics of the FBI's handling of the investigation have pointed to the agency's swift conclusion that Oswald acted alone and its dismissal of alternative theories. Some have argued that the FBI was too quick to accept the lone assassin theory and failed to thoroughly pursue other leads that might have suggested a conspiracy. However, proponents of the FBI's role contend that the agency acted responsibly based on the available evidence at the time. Allegations of CIA involvement. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, also faced scrutiny in the aftermath of the assassination. Some conspiracy theorists alleged that the CIA may have had a role in the assassination, either directly or indirectly. Claims ranged from the CIA's supposed involvement in the cover-up of evidence to suggestions that rogue agents orchestrated the assassination. The CIA's clandestine activities during the Cold War, including its involvement in covert operations and its interest in foreign leaders such as Fidel Castro, fueled suspicions. Nevertheless, concrete evidence linking the CIA to the assassination has been lacking, and official investigations have not established any direct ties between the agency and the events of November 22, 1963. Chapter 7: The Impact on American Society. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, reverberated through every corner of American society, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's collective psyche. This chapter will assess the profound impact of JFK's assassination on American society, exploring the national and international reactions to the tragedy, the cultural implications, and the lasting influence of conspiracy theories on public perception of government institutions and the presidency. National and international reactions. The news of President Kennedy's assassination sent shockwaves across the United States, eliciting an outpouring of grief, sadness, and disbelief. Millions of Americans were emotionally devastated by the loss of their charismatic and youthful leader, a man who symbolized hope and progress for a new generation. The nation mourned collectively, with flags flown at half-mast, businesses closing, and memorial services held in towns and cities throughout the country. The scale of public mourning was unparalleled, as millions of Americans tuned into television coverage of the state funeral and procession in Washington, D.C. The image of young John F. Kennedy Jr. saluting his father's coffin became an iconic and heart-wrenching symbol of the tragedy. Internationally, the assassination of JFK elicited expressions of sorrow and solidarity from countries around the world. Leaders and citizens alike conveyed condolences to the United States, mourning the loss of a charismatic and internationally respected president. The assassination shook the global community, emphasizing the vulnerability of world leaders to acts of violence. Cultural impact. The assassination of JFK had a profound impact on American culture, inspiring a wave of artistic expressions and reflections on the nation's identity. Numerous songs, poems, and artworks emerged in response to the tragedy, capturing the feelings of loss and uncertainty that permeated the nation. Perhaps most notably, Jacqueline Kennedy's poignant remark that her husband's presidency was often associated with the musical Camelot further solidified the Kennedy era's romanticized and mythological significance. The comparison to the mythical kingdom of Camelot, characterized by virtue and idealism, elevated JFK's legacy to legendary status in the collective imagination. The enduring influence of conspiracy theories. The assassination of President Kennedy also marked the beginning of a long and enduring fascination with conspiracy theories. The Warren Commission's conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone did little to quell public skepticism, and alternative theories began to take hold. Some Americans found it difficult to accept that such a significant event could be the result of the actions of a single individual. Conspiracy theories proliferated, suggesting various scenarios involving multiple shooters, government cover-ups, and secret plots. These theories challenged the official narrative and further deepened the sense of mistrust in government institutions. The release of classified documents related to the assassination over the years has fueled conspiracy theories' persistence, perpetuating public doubts and speculation. Impact on public perception of government and the presidency. The assassination of JFK had a lasting impact on public perception of government and the presidency. The tragedy intensified existing feelings of distrust and disillusionment with government institutions, particularly in the wake of other traumatic events of the 1960s, such as the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. The assassinations of President Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., and Robert F. Kennedy within a short span of time created a sense of vulnerability and uncertainty about the nation's future. The loss of innocence became a common theme in discussions about the era, reflecting the belief that the nation had lost its naivety and belief in an idyllic and secure world. Chapter 8: The Legacy and Ongoing Debates. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, left an indelible mark on American history and politics, shaping the nation's collective memory and influencing public perception of government and the presidency. As we reflect on JFK's enduring legacy and the events of that tragic day, it becomes evident that the impact of his assassination extends far beyond the immediate aftermath. This chapter will delve into the lasting legacy of JFK and acknowledge the ongoing debates and uncertainties surrounding the events of November 22, 1963. The enduring legacy of JFK. John F. Kennedy's presidency remains a milestone in American history, marked by his inspiring rhetoric, youthful charisma, and commitment to public service. He embodied a vision of a nation striving for progress, unity, and global leadership. His advocacy for civil rights, the space program, and nuclear arms control endeared him to the American people and resonated with audiences worldwide. JFK's assassination cut short a presidency that held immense promise and potential. The image of his young family, the so-called Camelot, captured the nation's imagination, elevating his legacy to mythical proportions. The Kennedy era became synonymous with a sense of optimism and idealism, even amidst the turmoil of the 1960s. Beyond his presidency, JFK's assassination prompted significant changes in the Secret Service's protection of presidents and the security measures surrounding public figures. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of leaders to acts of violence and highlighted the need for enhanced security protocols. Ongoing debates and uncertainties. Despite numerous investigations and inquiries, uncertainties and debates continue to surround the assassination of President Kennedy. The official conclusion of the Warren Commission, pointing to Lee Harvey Oswald as the lone assassin, has not quelled the myriad conspiracy theories that have proliferated over the years. Questions persist about the exact sequence of events on that fateful day and the possibility of additional shooters or accomplices. Critics of the lone gunman theory point to the trajectory of the bullets, the enigmatic actions of Lee Harvey Oswald, and the potential connections to various individuals and organizations. These uncertainties have fueled public skepticism and contributed to the enduring fascination with the assassination. The release of classified documents related to the assassination in recent years has added fuel to the ongoing debates. While these documents have provided additional insights into the investigation and the intelligence community's actions, they have also generated further speculation and conspiracy theories. The legacy of doubt. The assassination of JFK has left a legacy of doubt and mistrust in the collective memory of the American people. The persistence of conspiracy theories has underscored a broader sentiment of skepticism towards government institutions and the way they handle sensitive and traumatic events. The complexities and uncertainties surrounding the investigation have led some to question the effectiveness and transparency of official inquiries. Moreover, the enduring legacy of JFK's assassination has also shaped how subsequent generations perceive and analyze political events. It has become a benchmark for comparing and understanding other pivotal moments in American history, prompting reflections on leadership, integrity, and the impact of assassinations on the nation's trajectory. Chapter 9, Epilogue, Reflecting on the Enigma. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy continues to captivate the American imagination, becoming a defining moment in the nation's history. As a historian, my duty is to present an objective and comprehensive examination of the available evidence, theories, and perspectives surrounding this tragic event. The story of November 22, 1963, remains a haunting and complex chapter in American history, marked by enduring questions and elusive truths. Throughout this account, we have delved into the life and presidency of JFK, explored the events leading up to the assassination, scrutinized the investigations, and analyzed the impact on American society. We have carefully considered the roles of law enforcement agencies and intelligence organizations, the enduring legacy of JFK, and the ongoing debates that continue to shape public perception. Amidst the myriad accounts and theories, we must acknowledge that the complete truth may never be fully known. The events of that fateful day in Dallas remain shrouded in uncertainties, leaving room for conjecture and alternative interpretations. The persistence of conspiracy theories and lingering doubts underscore the complexity of this historical enigma. As historians, we strive to present a balanced and well-researched account, drawing from credible sources, primary documents, and expert analysis. We recognize the importance of critical inquiry, acknowledging the limitations of historical evidence and the human capacity for biases and subjectivity. The assassination of President Kennedy not only took a life but also ruptured the fabric of American society, leaving scars that endure to this day. The shockwaves of that event still resonate in the national memory, shaping how we remember and reflect on other pivotal moments in history. JFK's presidency continues to serve as a benchmark for assessing leadership and ideals, while the enduring legacy of doubt and mistrust has influenced public perception of government institutions and the presidency. The assassination has also become a lens through which we examine other political assassinations and traumatic events in American history, seeking parallels and understanding their impact on the nation's trajectory. As we grapple with the complexities and uncertainties of this historical event, it is crucial to remember that history is an ongoing and evolving process. New evidence may surface, further investigations may shed light on unanswered questions, and alternative interpretations may emerge. As historians, we remain committed to continual research and critical analysis, seeking to deepen our understanding of the past and its impact on the present. In the quest for truth and knowledge, we must remain vigilant in our pursuit of historical inquiry, recognizing that history is not a fixed narrative but a dynamic and multifaceted tapestry of human experiences. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy will continue to be a subject of study, reflection, and debate, reminding us of the complexity of historical events and the importance of preserving the integrity of the historical record. More information and facts. Part 1: International reactions to JFK's assassination, condolences and impact on foreign relations. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, sent shockwaves around the world, eliciting expressions of sorrow and sympathy from foreign governments and leaders. The tragic event had a profound impact on international relations, affecting diplomatic ties, global perceptions of the United States, and the trajectory of Cold War politics. Delving deeper into the international reactions to JFK's assassination provides crucial insights into how the world responded to the loss of a charismatic and globally admired leader. Condolences from foreign governments. Within hours of the assassination, messages of condolences poured in from heads of state and governments across the globe. World leaders expressed shock and grief over the loss of President Kennedy, with many emphasizing their admiration for his leadership and vision. Telegrams, letters, and statements of sympathy flooded the White House from countries on every continent. The outpouring of international grief showcased the widespread respect and admiration for JFK's presidency. It also reflected the significance of the United States as a global superpower and a key player in international affairs. The messages of condolences helped cement JFK's reputation as a beloved and influential figure on the world stage. Impact on U.S. foreign relations. The assassination of President Kennedy had a profound impact on U.S. foreign relations, particularly during the height of the Cold War. JFK's presidency had been marked by several significant foreign policy initiatives, including the Cuban Missile Crisis and his commitment to the containment of communism. The sudden change in leadership and the uncertainties surrounding the transition of power raised concerns among U.S. allies and adversaries alike. In the immediate aftermath of the assassination, there were questions about the continuity of U.S. foreign policy. President Lyndon B. Johnson, who succeeded JFK, moved swiftly to reassure foreign governments of the U.S.'s commitment to its international obligations and alliances. He sought to uphold the legacy of his predecessor and maintain the nation's leadership role in world affairs. Impact on global perceptions of the United States. The assassination of JFK also had an impact on how the United States was perceived on the global stage. The nation that had been widely admired for its vibrant democracy and optimistic leadership was suddenly cast into a state of mourning and vulnerability. The loss of such a charismatic and inspirational leader was felt not only by Americans but also by people around the world who had looked up to JFK as a symbol of hope and progress. The world witnessed a nation in mourning, and this humanized the United States in the eyes of many. It revealed a vulnerable side of American democracy and leadership that had not been as prominently displayed during the height of the Cold War. The assassination, in a way, brought the United States closer to the rest of the world, as people from various nations shared in the grief and sense of loss. Impact on Cold War politics. The assassination occurred during a critical phase of the Cold War, and its repercussions extended to the geopolitical dynamics between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cuban Missile Crisis, which had occurred just over a year earlier, had brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. JFK's handling of the crisis had been praised for its measured approach and ultimately successful resolution. The assassination raised questions about the continuity and stability of U.S. leadership during a period of intense global tension. It also led to speculation about the potential impact on U.S.-Soviet relations. However, the transition to President Johnson and his commitment to upholding JFK's policies helped maintain a sense of stability in U.S. foreign affairs during a time of heightened uncertainty. Part 2: Civil Rights Legacy, JFK's approach to racial equality. The civil rights legacy of President John F. Kennedy remains a crucial aspect of his presidency, highlighting both his achievements and the complexities of his approach in tackling racial inequality in the United States. JFK's tenure in the White House coincided with a period of significant civil rights activism and calls for racial justice. Although his administration took steps to advance civil rights, it also faced limitations and challenges in navigating the turbulent waters of racial integration during the early 1960s. The Civil Rights Movement and JFK's election. The Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s was a grassroots struggle led by African American activists and supported by various civil rights organizations. Its goals were to challenge segregation, secure voting rights, and promote equal opportunities for African Americans. The movement gained momentum with major events such as the Montgomery bus boycott and the March on Washington. When JFK was elected in 1960, he faced mounting pressure to address civil rights issues and promote racial equality. African American voters played a significant role in securing his victory, and they expected him to take decisive action on civil rights. The rhetoric of equality. JFK's approach to civil rights was marked by a commitment to the principles of equality and justice. In his inaugural address, he famously stated, "We are confronted primarily with a moral issue. It is as old as the scriptures and is as clear as the American Constitution. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities, whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we want to be treated." His rhetoric emphasized the moral imperative of racial equality, appealing to the nation's sense of justice and fairness. Kennedy recognized the urgency of addressing civil rights issues and the need to uphold America's democratic principles. Civil rights legislation. During his presidency, JFK submitted a series of civil rights bills to Congress, seeking to address various aspects of racial discrimination. The most notable of these was the Civil Rights Act of 1963, which aimed to end segregation in public accommodations and provide federal protection for voting rights. Although the bill encountered significant opposition in Congress, JFK's commitment to advancing civil rights legislation was evident. Additionally, Kennedy used executive orders to desegregate federal facilities and encourage affirmative action in federal hiring practices. His administration sought to enforce the Supreme Court's decision in Brown v. Board of Education, which ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. The limitations and challenges. Despite JFK's efforts to advance civil rights, his approach faced limitations and challenges. He was cautious about pushing too aggressively on civil rights issues, fearing a backlash from Southern Democrats who controlled key congressional committees. JFK needed their support to advance other aspects of his legislative agenda, including economic and foreign policy initiatives. The Kennedy administration also struggled with the complexities of implementing civil rights policies at the state and local levels. Resistance to desegregation was fierce in some areas, leading to incidents such as the standoff at the University of Alabama during the integration of African American students. The March on Washington and civil rights activism. One of the defining moments of JFK's civil rights legacy was the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in August 1963. The historic gathering brought together hundreds of thousands of civil rights activists, with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivering his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. The march put immense pressure on the administration to act on civil rights and further elevated the issue on the national stage. The shift in emphasis, from JFK to LBJ. Tragically, President Kennedy's life was cut short before he could fully realize his civil rights goals. After his assassination, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson assumed the presidency and made civil rights a top priority. He worked to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which became a landmark piece of legislation in advancing civil rights and combating racial discrimination. Part 3: Impact on the Johnson administration, a sudden transition of power. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, had a profound impact on the Johnson administration that succeeded it. The sudden transition of power and the national mourning that followed had both immediate and lasting effects on President Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency, reshaping his policy priorities, governing style, and the trajectory of his administration. The sudden transition of power. The assassination of JFK marked an abrupt and tragic shift in leadership, thrusting Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson into the presidency. The transition of power occurred with extraordinary speed and under circumstances of immense national shock and grief. As Johnson took the oath of office aboard Air Force One, the nation mourned the loss of a charismatic leader, while also grappling with the uncertainties of a new presidency. The impact of national mourning. The nation's mourning for JFK was unprecedented in its scale and emotional intensity. The outpouring of grief and public expressions of sorrow engulfed the country. Johnson, in assuming the presidency, faced the dual challenge of guiding a mourning nation while also grappling with the responsibilities of office. The weight of grief and national mourning profoundly influenced the early days of Johnson's administration. His initial public addresses and actions sought to honor JFK's memory and maintain a sense of continuity. He emphasized the importance of national unity and sought to reassure the American people during a period of immense sorrow and uncertainty. Continuity in Johnson's policy priorities. Despite the shock and grief of the transition, President Johnson was keen on continuing some of the policy priorities of the Kennedy administration. He was already familiar with many of JFK's initiatives and worked to carry them forward. Johnson's commitment to civil rights legislation was particularly notable, as he vowed to honor JFK's legacy by pushing for the passage of the Civil Rights Act. Johnson's desire for continuity also extended to foreign policy matters, as he sought to maintain the nation's leadership role in the world. The Cuban Missile Crisis, for example, had demonstrated the need for a strong and assertive U.S. presence on the global stage, and Johnson aimed to preserve American credibility and deter potential adversaries. A different governing style. Lyndon B. Johnson's governing style differed significantly from that of John F. Kennedy. While JFK was known for his cool and intellectual approach to leadership, Johnson was a seasoned and skilled politician with a robust understanding of congressional dynamics. He had extensive experience in legislative affairs from his time as Senate Majority Leader, and this experience influenced his approach to policymaking. Johnson was a masterful negotiator, known for his Johnson treatment, a combination of charm, intimidation, and persuasion to win over allies and opponents alike. He relied heavily on his political acumen to push forward his policy agenda, often employing a more direct and hands-on approach than JFK. The Johnson presidency, a complex legacy. The legacy of Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency is a complex tapestry shaped by the circumstances of his ascension to power and the challenges he faced in continuing JFK's unfinished work. Johnson's commitment to civil rights led to the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, both of which were instrumental in advancing racial equality in the United States. However, Johnson's presidency was also marked by the escalation of the Vietnam War, which became a deeply divisive and contentious issue both domestically and internationally. The war would overshadow many of his domestic policy achievements and contribute to the erosion of public support for his administration. Part 4: Public Perception of Lee Harvey Oswald, Portraits of a Lone Assassin. The public perception of Lee Harvey Oswald is a crucial aspect in comprehending the broader impact of President John F. Kennedy's assassination. The multiple portrayals of Oswald in the media and public discourse shed light on how the nation grappled with the idea of a lone assassin responsible for such a momentous and tragic event. Understanding the public's perception of Oswald provides insights into the complexities of interpreting historical figures and the narratives that emerge in the wake of significant historical events. Initial perceptions of Oswald. In the immediate aftermath of the assassination, the public's perception of Lee Harvey Oswald was shaped by the media's reporting of the events. The first reports identified Oswald as the prime suspect in the shooting, leading to widespread public condemnation. He was depicted as a disgruntled and troubled individual who had allegedly acted alone in committing the heinous crime. Oswald's past, including his defection to the Soviet Union and subsequent return to the United States, fueled speculation about his motives. The public struggled to comprehend how an individual with such a background could carry out such a high-profile assassination. The lone assassin narrative. The lone assassin narrative emerged as the dominant explanation for JFK's assassination in the early stages of the investigation. The Warren Commission, tasked with examining the events, ultimately concluded that Oswald acted alone in shooting the president. This official finding reinforced the perception of Oswald as a lone, deranged gunman responsible for the tragedy. The lone assassin narrative offered a sense of closure and simplicity to the public, providing an explanation that attributed the assassination to the actions of a single individual. However, this narrative also faced significant scrutiny and skepticism from some quarters, leading to the emergence of alternative theories and conspiracy claims. The complexities of Oswald's background. As more details of Lee Harvey Oswald's life emerged, the public perception of him became more nuanced and complex. Reports of Oswald's troubled childhood, his time in the Soviet Union, and his connections to various political and social circles added layers of intrigue to the narrative. The conflicting information about Oswald's motives, ideologies, and associations contributed to the diverse portrayals of him in the media and public discussions. Some saw him as a disturbed loner with a personal vendetta against authority figures, while others speculated about possible ties to anti-Castro groups or foreign governments. Conspiracy theories and doubts. The public perception of Oswald was significantly influenced by the rise of conspiracy theories challenging the official lone assassin narrative. As doubts about the Warren Commission's findings grew, alternative theories began to gain traction. These theories proposed scenarios involving multiple shooters, government cover-ups, and secret plots. The existence of conspiracy theories added further complexity to the public's understanding of Oswald and the assassination. The emergence of such theories perpetuated doubts about the official version of events and raised questions about the thoroughness of the investigation. The media's role. The media played a crucial role in shaping the public perception of Oswald. Early reporting focused on Oswald as the prime suspect and the central figure in the assassination. As new information emerged, media coverage explored various aspects of his life, upbringing, and potential motivations. However, media outlets often presented conflicting portrayals of Oswald, depending on their editorial perspectives or affiliations. Some portrayed him as a lone madman, while others emphasized potential conspiracy angles. This diversity of perspectives further contributed to the complex mosaic of public perception. Part 5: Influence on Popular Culture, the Enduring Legacy of JFK's Assassination. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, left an indelible mark on American popular culture. The tragic event, etched into the nation's collective memory, has been depicted, interpreted, and reimagined through various forms of artistic expression, including films, literature, music, and art. These cultural representations have not only served as reflections of the event itself but have also played a significant role in shaping public memory and perception of one of the most pivotal moments in American history. Films. The assassination of JFK has been a recurring theme in films over the decades, becoming an integral part of American cinematic history. Numerous movies have explored the events surrounding the assassination, focusing on the investigation, the conspiracy theories, and the impact on American society. These films have contributed to the enduring fascination with the event and its unresolved questions. One of the most well-known films about JFK's assassination is Oliver Stone's JFK, 1991, which delves into the conspiracy theories surrounding the event. The film presents alternative interpretations of the assassination and questions the lone gunman theory, sparking public debates about the veracity of historical events versus creative liberties taken in filmmaking. Literature. JFK's assassination has also been a subject of fascination in literature. Novels, nonfiction works, and historical accounts have examined the event from various perspectives, shedding light on the complexities of the assassination and its impact on American society and politics. Books like November 22, '63 by Stephen King and Libra by Don DeLillo provide fictionalized accounts of the events leading up to the assassination and the lives of those involved. Non-fiction works, such as Case Closed by Gerald Posner and Crossfire, The Plot That Killed Kennedy by Jim Marrs, present differing theories and interpretations, further shaping public perceptions of the event. Music. The assassination of JFK has also found resonance in music, becoming a theme in various songs and compositions. Artists across different genres have drawn inspiration from the event to express emotions of grief, loss, and reflection. One of the most famous songs related to the assassination is Abraham, Martin, and John by Dion, which mourns the loss of not only JFK but also Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy. The song captures the impact of these assassinations on the nation's psyche, immortalizing the memory of JFK within the context of broader political tragedies. Art. The assassination of JFK has been depicted in visual art as well, with artists using their craft to interpret and respond to the event. Paintings, sculptures, and other artistic expressions have captured the shock, grief, and contemplation that followed the assassination. Notably, Andy Warhol's series of screen prints titled Flash, November 22, 1963 immortalized the iconic photograph of JFK's assassination. The series explored the imagery of media and tragedy, making a powerful statement about how the event was forever etched into the collective consciousness. Shaping public memory and perception. The cultural representations of JFK's assassination have played a significant role in shaping public memory and perception of the event. These depictions have become part of the collective narrative, influencing how subsequent generations remember and interpret the assassination and its impact on American history. The portrayal of JFK's assassination in popular culture has perpetuated public fascination with the event and contributed to the persistence of conspiracy theories. It has also fostered an ongoing quest for truth and meaning, as each new artistic interpretation sparks further discussions and debates about the complexities of the assassination. Part 6: Historical Investigations, Unraveling the Mysteries of JFK's Assassination. Following the release of the Warren Commission's report in 1964, the official investigation into JFK's assassination faced scrutiny and public skepticism. As doubts persisted about the lone assassin narrative, subsequent investigations were launched to delve deeper into the complexities surrounding the event. Two key investigations that merit further exploration are the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, in the 1970s and the Assassination Records Review Board, ARRB, in the 1990s. These investigations played a pivotal role in re-evaluating the assassination and led to the release of previously classified documents, shedding new light on the events of November 22, 1963. House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA. In 1976, amid the growing public interest in conspiracy theories and questions about the original investigation, the United States Congress established the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA. The primary purpose of the HSCA was to re-examine the assassinations of both President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The HSCA was a significant step towards transparency and public accountability. Over 2 years of investigation, the committee reviewed the available evidence and conducted numerous interviews with witnesses and experts. Their findings, published in 1979, stated that JFK's assassination was likely the result of a conspiracy, though the committee did not identify any specific individuals or groups involved. The HSCA's conclusion reignited public interest in the assassination and prompted further research and investigation into the various conspiracy theories that had emerged over the years. The report also spurred demands for the release of additional classified documents related to the event. Assassination Records Review Board, ARRB. In the wake of the HSCA's findings, public demand for transparency reached a crescendo in the 1990s. In response to this pressure, Congress passed the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992. This act established the Assassination Records Review Board, ARRB, to oversee the release of all remaining classified documents related to JFK's assassination. The ARRB was tasked with identifying and declassifying records held by various government agencies, including the FBI, CIA, and Secret Service. The board worked diligently to make previously inaccessible materials available to the public. Over 4 million pages of records were released during the ARRB's tenure, offering historians and researchers an unprecedented wealth of information. The release of these records shed new light on various aspects of the assassination and helped corroborate or challenge existing theories. While the majority of the records supported the official lone assassin narrative, some documents raised further questions about potential intelligence failures and the handling of Oswald before the assassination. Impact and ongoing debates. The HSCA and ARRB investigations significantly impacted the public's understanding of JFK's assassination. They brought conspiracy theories into the mainstream and forced a re-evaluation of the event, encouraging critical thinking and scholarly scrutiny. The release of previously classified documents also provided a more comprehensive historical record for future generations of researchers to explore. However, despite these efforts, the investigations did not fully resolve all the questions surrounding the assassination. Conspiracy theories continue to persist, with some proponents arguing that the true nature of the assassination remains hidden within the unreleased documents or that the investigations themselves were flawed. Part 7: Public Conspiracies and Impact on Politics, Shaping Trust and Public Attitudes. The enduring appeal of conspiracy theories surrounding JFK's assassination has had a profound impact on politics and public discourse in subsequent years. These theories, fueled by suspicions of government cover-ups and perceived secrecy, have influenced the public's trust in government institutions and shaped attitudes towards political leaders. As a professional historian, it is essential to examine how conspiracy theories have left a lasting imprint on the nation's political landscape, contributing to an era of heightened skepticism and the erosion of confidence in governmental authorities. Erosion of trust in government institutions. The prevalence of conspiracy theories regarding JFK's assassination, particularly those questioning the lone assassin narrative, has contributed to a general erosion of trust in government institutions. The suspicion that key details may have been deliberately concealed or manipulated has fueled public skepticism and disillusionment with official accounts of significant historical events. Conspiracy theories, with their implications of secrecy and manipulation, have created an atmosphere of doubt surrounding the veracity of government statements and official investigations. This erosion of trust can be seen as a broader manifestation of the public's growing skepticism towards authoritative sources and the proliferation of alternative narratives. Impact on political leaders. Conspiracy theories surrounding JFK's assassination have not only influenced public attitudes towards the event itself but have also affected perceptions of political leaders in subsequent years. The lingering doubts about the assassination have at times been projected onto other political leaders, leading to suspicions about their actions or motives. In the decades following the assassination, some political figures have faced accusations of involvement in or knowledge of alleged conspiracies, even when evidence supporting such claims was scant or non-existent. The specter of conspiracy has cast a shadow over certain politicians, leading to a heightened level of scrutiny and suspicion in the public eye. Polarization and fragmentation of public discourse. The proliferation of conspiracy theories has contributed to the polarization and fragmentation of public discourse. Different factions and interest groups have latched onto various conspiracy narratives, creating echo chambers that reinforce pre-existing beliefs and further entrenching ideological divisions. The spread of conspiracy theories has been facilitated by modern communication platforms, allowing these ideas to reach a global audience rapidly. Social media, in particular, has become a fertile ground for the dissemination and amplification of conspiracy narratives, leading to the fragmentation of public discourse and the reinforcement of partisan divides. Political expediency and manipulation. In some instances, politicians and interest groups have exploited conspiracy theories for political expedience. Conspiratorial narratives can be used to delegitimize opponents, question the credibility of investigative bodies, and undermine trust in democratic institutions. The exploitation of conspiracy theories for political gain can exacerbate existing divisions and undermine public confidence in the democratic process. This manipulation of public sentiment has the potential to erode the fabric of democratic governance, as it fuels cynicism and apathy among the citizenry. Part 8: Memorialization and Commemoration, Remembering JFK's Historic Tragedy. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, left an indelible mark on the American nation. In the aftermath of this historic tragedy, the country sought to memorialize and commemorate JFK in various ways, providing insights into how the nation remembers and reckons with significant historical events. As professional historians, examining the process of memorialization and commemoration sheds light on the evolving perceptions and collective memory surrounding the assassination. The Eternal Flame, Arlington National Cemetery. One of the most iconic symbols of JFK's memorialization is the eternal flame at Arlington National Cemetery. Just 3 days after the assassination, during JFK's funeral, his widow, Jacqueline Kennedy, lit the flame at the president's gravesite as a symbol of eternal remembrance. The eternal flame has become a solemn and powerful reminder of JFK's legacy and his enduring impact on the nation. The John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum. The John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum, located in Boston, Massachusetts, stands as a testament to JFK's legacy and contributions to American history. The library houses an extensive collection of documents, photographs, and artifacts related to his life and presidency. It serves as a center for research, education, and reflection on JFK's vision and ideals. Kennedy Space Center. JFK's vision for space exploration and the Apollo program's commitment to landing a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s is also memorialized at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The center was named in honor of President Kennedy shortly after his assassination, emphasizing his role in shaping America's space exploration ambitions. Public memorials and monuments. Across the United States, numerous public memorials and monuments commemorate JFK's legacy. These range from statues and plaques in public spaces to buildings and roads named in his honor. These memorials serve as reminders of JFK's vision for a better America and his enduring impact on the nation's history and politics. Commemorative events and anniversaries. Throughout the years, significant anniversaries of JFK's assassination have been marked by commemorative events and ceremonies. Each November 22nd, the nation pauses to reflect and remember the tragic events of 1963. These events provide an opportunity for the public to come together to pay tribute to JFK's memory and reflect on his contributions to the nation. Cultural representations. Beyond physical memorials and commemorations, JFK's assassination has also been depicted and explored in various cultural representations, including films, television shows, and books. These representations serve as reflections of the nation's ongoing fascination with the event and its impact on American history and culture. The enduring legacy. The process of memorialization and commemoration of JFK's assassination reveals the enduring legacy of this historic tragedy. It demonstrates how the nation seeks to remember and honor a leader whose life and presidency were cut short. The diverse forms of memorialization also highlight the multifaceted nature of JFK's legacy, ranging from his vision for space exploration to his commitment to civil rights and social progress. Part 9, International Comparisons, Understanding the Impact of JFK's Assassination in Global Context. Drawing parallels with other political assassinations or significant historical events around the world provides a broader context for understanding the impact of JFK's assassination on American society and global politics. By examining how similar events have shaped other nations and influenced international relations, we gain valuable insights into the complexities of historical memory, political repercussions, and the enduring legacy of such tragedies. The Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, 1865. One of the most significant historical events that can be compared to JFK's assassination is the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln in 1865. Lincoln's assassination had a profound impact on the United States, marking the first assassination of an American president and further deepening the divisions during the tumultuous post-Civil War period. Similarly, both Lincoln and Kennedy were charismatic leaders who had come to symbolize hope and unity in times of great social and political upheaval. Their assassinations left the nation in shock and mourning, reshaping the trajectory of American history and politics. The assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, 1948. The assassination of Mahatma Gandhi in 1948 in India provides another significant comparison. Gandhi's assassination occurred shortly after India gained independence from British colonial rule, and his vision of non-violence and social justice had a profound impact on the nation's identity. Like JFK, Gandhi's assassination left a lasting impact on the public psyche, reinforcing the need for continued vigilance against violence and promoting unity amidst divisive forces. Both leaders' assassinations galvanized their respective nations, underscoring the importance of their ideals and the struggle for social progress. The impact on global politics. The assassination of political leaders can have far-reaching implications on international relations. In the case of JFK's assassination, the event coincided with a critical period of the Cold War, heightening tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The assassination raised concerns about the stability of American leadership and the potential vulnerability of democratic institutions. Internationally, the event also affected perceptions of the United States and its political system. The nation's response to JFK's assassination, including the transition of power to Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, showcased the resilience of American democracy. However, it also highlighted the potential consequences of political violence on a global stage. The lingering influence of conspiracy theories. Similar to JFK's assassination, many historical events have been shrouded in conspiracy theories, with multiple interpretations and narratives emerging over time. These theories often endure for decades or even centuries, shaping public memory and influencing historical debates. Conspiracy theories surrounding the assassinations of leaders like Lincoln, Gandhi, and JFK reflect the public's desire to make sense of events that carry profound historical significance. They also illustrate how the perception of political leaders can be intertwined with notions of martyrdom and symbolic significance. Part 10: Influence on Future Presidents. The long-term consequences of JFK's assassination on the presidency. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, had a profound and lasting impact on the presidency itself, shaping the behavior and security measures of future U.S. presidents. The traumatic nature of JFK's assassination forever altered the way the nation and its leaders approached the presidency and its vulnerabilities. As professional historians, analyzing the aftermath of this tragic event provides valuable insights into the long-term consequences on the institution of the presidency and the security measures implemented to protect its occupants. Heightened focus on presidential security. JFK's assassination exposed significant weaknesses in the security measures surrounding the President of the United States. Following the tragic event, there was a renewed and heightened focus on protecting the President from potential threats. The Secret Service, responsible for presidential security, underwent comprehensive reviews and reforms to bolster its capabilities. Future presidents and their administrations recognized the need for enhanced security measures to safeguard the leader of the nation. The assassination prompted the development of advanced security protocols, including stricter screening of visitors and larger protective details during public appearances. Changes in presidential travel and public events. The assassination of JFK prompted changes in how future presidents traveled and engaged in public events. Prior to the event, presidents often participated in open-top motorcades and engaged with crowds at close proximity. However, the assassination exposed the risks of such open exposure. As a result, future presidents limited their exposure to potential threats during public events, opting for more controlled and secure settings. Protective bulletproof enclosures were added to presidential limousines, and secure venues became the norm for major public appearances. Preservation of presidential records and materials. The assassination of JFK highlighted the need to preserve presidential records and materials for historical and investigative purposes. The importance of documentation and record-keeping became evident during the investigations into the assassination. Subsequent presidents recognized the significance of maintaining comprehensive records of their administrations. In 1978, the Presidential Records Act was passed, establishing guidelines for the preservation and public access to presidential records. This legislation aimed to ensure transparency and accountability in government and preserve an accurate historical record for future generations. Psychological impact on future presidents. The assassination of JFK also had a psychological impact on future presidents, who became acutely aware of the potential dangers and risks associated with their positions. The psychological toll of the presidency became a central concern for both the individuals holding the office and those responsible for their mental well-being. Presidents have sought various coping mechanisms, including confiding in trusted advisors, engaging in physical exercise, and seeking support from their families. The assassination has contributed to an understanding of the psychological pressures inherent in the presidency and the importance of supporting the mental health of those who hold the office. Legacy of caution and security measures. The assassination of JFK left a legacy of caution and security measures that have endured over the years. Future presidents have been mindful of the risks associated with the presidency and have continued to prioritize security protocols to protect both themselves and the American public. This legacy has been particularly evident during times of heightened security threats and national crises. The events of September 11, 2001, for example, led to further reassessment and enhancement of security measures to ensure the safety of the president and the continuity of government. We've now reached the end of our journey today. Thank you for letting the tales of old be your backdrop, and remember, history isn't just about the past, it's about understanding our present and shaping our future.